Pact, a covenant. Pagan, a worshipper of false gods. Pageant, a dramatic representation, especially a spectacular one. Palate, the roof of the mouth. Palatial, magnificent. Paleontology, the branch of biology that treats of ancient life and fossil organisms. Palette, a thin tablet with a hole for the thumb upon which artists lay their colors for painting. Palinode, a retraction. Pall, to make dull by satiety. Palliate, to cause to appear less guilty. Pallid, of a pale or wan appearance. Palpable, perceptible by feeling or touch. Palsy, paralysis. Paly, lacking color or brilliancy. Pamphlet, a brief treatise or essay usually on a subject of current interest. Pamphleteer, to compose or issue pamphlets, especially controversial ones. Panacea, a remedy or medicine proposed for or professing to cure all diseases. Pan-American, including or pertaining to the whole of America, both North and South. Pandemic, affecting a whole people or all classes as a disease. Pandemonium, a fiendish or riotous uproar. Panegyric, a formal and elaborate eulogy, written or spoken, of a person or of an act. Panel, a rectangular piece set in or as in a frame. Panic, a sudden, unreasonable, overpowering fear. Panoply, a full set of armor. Panorama, a series of large pictures representing a continuous scene. Pantheism, the worship of nature for itself or its beauty. Pantheon, a circular temple at Rome with a fine Corinthian portico and a great domed roof. Pantomime, sign language. Pantascope, a very wide-angled photographic lens. Papacy, the official head of the Roman Catholic Church. Papyrus, the writing paper of the ancient Egyptians and later of the Romans. Parable, a brief narrative founded on real scenes or events, usually with a moral. Paradox, a statement or doctrine seemingly in contradiction to the received belief. Paragon, a model of excellence. Parallel, to cause to correspond or lie in the same direction and equidistant in all parts. Parallelism, essential likeness. Paralysis, loss of the power of contractility in the voluntary or involuntary muscles. Paralyze, to deprive of the power to act. Paramount, supreme in authority. Paramour, one who is unlawfully and immorally a lover or a mistress. Paraphernalia, miscellaneous articles of equipment or adornment. Paraphrase, translate freely. Pare, to cut, shave, or remove the outside from anything. Parentage, the relation of parent to child, of the producer to the produced, or of cause to effect. Pariah, a member of a degraded class, a social outcast. Parish, the ecclesiastical district in charge of a pastor. Parisian, of or pertaining to the city of Paris. Parity, equality, as of condition or rank. Parlance, mode of speech. Parley, to converse in. Parliament, a legislative body. Parlor, a room for reception of callers or entertainment of guests. Parody, to render ludicrous by imitating the language of. Paronymus, derived from the same root or primitive word. Paroxysm, a sudden outburst of any kind of activity. Parricide, the murder of a parent. Parse, to describe as a sentence by separating it into its elements and describing each word. Parsimonious, unduly sparing in the use or expenditure of money. Partible, separable. Participant, one having a share or part. Participate, to receive or have a part or share of. Partition, that which separates anything into distinct parts. Partisan, characterized by or exhibiting undue or unreasoning devotion to a party. Passible, capable of feeling, of suffering. Passive, unresponsive. Pastoral, having the spirit or sentiment of rural life. Paternal, fatherly. Paternity, fatherhood. Pathos, the quality in any form of representation that rouses emotion or sympathy. Patriarch, the chief of a tribe or race who rules by paternal right. Patrician, of senatorial or noble rank. Patrimony, an inheritance from an ancestor, especially from one's father. Patriotism, love and devotion to one's country. Patronize, to exercise an arrogant condescension toward. Patronymic, formed after one's father's name. Patter, to mumble something over and over. Paucity, fewness. Pauper, one without means of support. Pauperism, dependence on charity. Pavilion, an open structure for temporary shelter. Payee, a person to whom money has been or is to be paid. Peaceable, tranquil. Peaceful, tranquil. Peccable, capable of sinning. Peccadillo, a small breach of propriety or principle. Peccant, guilty. Pectoral, pertaining to the breast or thorax. Pecuniary, consisting of money. Pedagogics, the science and art of teaching. Pedagogue, a schoolmaster. Pedagogy, the science and art of teaching. Pedal, a lever for the foot usually applied only to musical instruments, cycles, and other machines. Pedant, a scholar who makes needless and inopportune display of his learning. Peddle, to go about with a small stock of goods to sell. Pedestal, a base or support as for a column, statue, or vase. Pedestrian, one who journeys on foot. Pediatrics, the department of medical science that relates to the treatment of diseases of childhood. Pedigree, one's line of ancestors. Peddler, one who travels from house to house with an assortment of goods for retail. Peerage, the nobility. Peerless, of unequaled excellence or worth. Peevish, petulant, irritable. Pellucid, translucent. Penalty, the consequences that follow the transgression of natural or divine law. Penance, punishment to which one voluntarily submits or subjects himself as an expression of penitence. Penchant, a bias in favor of something. Pendant, anything that hangs from something else, either for ornament or for use. Pendulous, hanging, especially so as to swing by an attached end or part. Pendulum, a weight hung on a rod, serving by its oscillation to regulate the rate of a clock. Penetrable, that may be pierced by physical, moral, or intellectual force. Penetrate, to enter or force a way into the interior parts of. Penetration, discernment. Peninsular, pertaining to a piece of land almost surrounded by water. Penitence, sorrow for sin with desire to amend and to atone. Penitential, pertaining to sorrow for sin with desire to amend and to atone. Pennant, a small flag. Pension, a periodical allowance to an individual on account of past service done by him or her. Pentagram, a figure having 5 points or lobes. Pentavalent, quinquevalent. Pentad, the number 5. Pentagon, a figure especially with 5 angles and 5 sides. Pentahedron, a solid bounded by 5 plane faces. Pentameter, in prosody, a line of verse containing 5 units or feet. Pentathlon, the contest of 5 associated exercises in the great games and the same contestants. Penultimate, a syllable or member of a series that is last but one. Penurious, excessively sparing in the use of money. Penury, indigence. Perambulate, to walk about. Perceive, to have knowledge of or receive impressions concerning through the medium of the body senses. Perceptible, cognizable. Perception, knowledge through the senses of the existence and properties of matter or the external world. Percipience, the act of perceiving. Percipient, one who or that which perceives. Percolate, to filter. Percolator, a filter. Percussion, the sharp striking of one body against another. Peremptory, precluding question or appeal. Perennial, continuing through the year or through many years. Perfectible, capable of being made perfect. Perfidy, treachery. Perforate, to make a hole or holes through. Perform, to accomplish. Perfumery, the preparation of perfumes. Perfunctory, half-hearted. Perhaps, possibly. Perigee, the point in the orbit of the moon when it is nearest the earth. Periodicity, the habit or characteristic of recurrence at regular intervals. Peripatetic, walking about. Perjure, to swear falsely to. Perjury, a solemn assertion of a falsity. Permanence, a continuance in the same state or without any change that destroys the essential form or nature. Permanent, durable. Permeate, to pervade. Permissible, that may be allowed. Permutation, reciprocal change, different ordering of same items. Pernicious, tending to kill or hurt. Perpendicular, straight up and down. Perpetrator, the doer of a wrong or a criminal act. Perpetuate, to preserve from extinction or oblivion. Perquisite, any profit from service beyond the amount fixed as salary or wages. Persecution, harsh or malignant oppression. Perseverance, a persistence in purpose and effort. Persevere, to continue striving in spite of discouragements. Persiflage, banter. Persist, to continue steadfast against opposition. Persistence, a fixed adherence to a resolve, course of conduct, or the like. Personage, a man or woman as an individual, especially one of rank or high station. Personal, not general or public. Personality, the attributes taken collectively that make up the character and nature of an individual. Personnel, the force of persons collectively employed in some service. Perspective, the relative importance of facts or matters from any special point of view. Perspicacious, astute. Perspicacity, acuteness or discernment. Perspicuous, lucid. Perspiration, sweat. Perspire, to excrete through the pores of the skin. Persuade, to win the mind of by argument, eloquence, evidence, or reflection. Persuadable, capable of influencing to action by entreaty, statement, or anything that moves the feelings. Pertinacious, persistent or unyielding. Pertinacity, unyielding adherence. Pertinent, relevant. Perturb, to disturb greatly. Perturbation, mental excitement or confusion. Perusal, the act of reading carefully or thoughtfully. Pervade, to pass or spread through every part. Pervasion, the state of spreading through every part. Pervasive, thoroughly penetrating or permeating. Perverse, unreasonable. Perversion, diversion from the true meaning or proper purpose. Perversity, wickedness. Pervert, one who has forsaken a doctrine regarded as true for one esteemed false. Pervious, admitting the entrance or passage of another substance. Pestilence, a raging epidemic. Pestilent, having a malign influence or effect. Pestilential, having the nature of or breeding pestilence. Peter, to fail or lose power, efficiency, or value. Petrify, to convert into a substance of stony hardness and character. Petulance, the character or condition of being impatient, capricious, or petulant. Petulant, displaying impatience. Pharmacopoeia, a book containing the formulas and methods of preparation of medicines for the use of druggists. Pharmacy, the art or business of compounding and dispensing medicines. Phenomenal, extraordinary or marvelous. Phenomenon, any unusual occurrence. Philander, to play at courtship with a woman. Philanthropic, benevolent. Philanthropist, one who endeavors to help his fellow men. Philanthropy, active humanitarianism. Philately, the study and collection of stamps. Philharmonic, fond of music. Philogynist, one who is fond of women. Philologist, an expert in linguistics. Philology, the study of language in connection with history and literature. Philosophize, to seek ultimate causes and principles. Philosophy, the general principles, laws, or causes that furnish the rational explanation of anything. Phlegmatic, not easily roused to feeling or action. Phonetic, representing articulate sounds or speech. Phonic, pertaining to the nature of sound. Phonogram, a graphic character symbolizing an articulate sound. Phonology, the science of human vocal sounds. Phosphorescence, the property of emitting light. Photoelectric, pertaining to the combined action of light and electricity. Photometer, any instrument for measuring the intensity of light or comparing the intensity of two lights. Photometry, the art of measuring the intensity of light. Physicist, a specialist in the science that treats of the phenomena associated with matter and energy. Physics, the science that treats of the phenomena associated with matter and energy. Physiocracy, the doctrine that land and its products are the only true wealth. Physiognomy, the external appearance merely. Physiography, description of nature. Physiology, the science of organic functions. Physique, the physical structure or organization of a person. Picayune, of small value. Piccolo, a small flute. Piece, a loose or separated part, as distinguished from the whole or the mass. Piecemeal, gradually. Pillage, open robbery, as in war. Pillory, a wooden framework in which an offender is fastened to boards and is exposed to public scorn. Pincers, an instrument having two lever handles and two jaws working on a pivot. Pincers, an instrument having two jaws working on a pivot. Pinnacle, a high or topmost point, as a mountain peak. Pioneer, one among the first to explore a country. Pious, religious. Pique, to excite a slight degree of anger in. Piteous, compassionate. Pitiable, contemptible. Pitiful, wretched. Pitiless, hard-hearted. Pittance, any small portion or meager allowance. Placate, to bring from a state of angry or hostile feeling to one of patience or friendliness. Placid, serene. Plagiarism, the stealing of passages from the writings of another and publishing them as one's own. Planisphere, a polar projection of the heavens on a chart. Plasticity, the property of some substances through which the form of the mass can readily be changed. Platitude, a written or spoken statement that is flat, dull, or commonplace. Plaudit, an expression of applause. Plausible, seeming likely to be true, though open to doubt. Playful, frolicsome. Playwright, a maker of plays for the stage. Plea, an argument to obtain some desired action. Pleasant, agreeable. Pleasurable, affording gratification. Plebeian, common. Pledgee, the person to whom anything is pledged. Pledger, one who gives a pledge. Plenary, entire. Plenipotentiary, a person fully empowered to transact any business. Plenitude, abundance. Plenteous, abundant. Plumb, a weight suspended by a line to test the verticality of something. Plummet, a piece of lead for making soundings, adjusting walls to the vertical. Pluperfect, expressing past time or action prior to some other past time or action. Plural, containing or consisting of more than one. Plurality, a majority. Plutocracy, a wealthy class in a political community who control the government by means of their money. Pneumatic, pertaining to or consisting of air or gas. Poesy, poetry. Poetaster, an inferior poet. Poetic, pertaining to poetry. Poetics, the rules and principles of poetry. Poignancy, severity or acuteness, especially of pain or grief. Poignant, severely painful or acute to the spirit. Poise, equilibrium. Polar, pertaining to the poles of a sphere, especially of the earth. Polemics, the art of controversy or disputation. Pollen, the fine dust-like grains or powder formed within the anther of a flowering plant. Pollute, to contaminate. Polyarchy, government by several or many persons of whatever class. Polycracy, the rule of many. Polygamy, the fact or condition of having more than one wife or husband at once. Polyglot, speaking several tongues. Polygon, a figure having many angles. Polyhedron, a solid bounded by plane faces, especially by more than four. Polysyllable, having several syllables, especially more than 3 syllables. Polytechnic, pertaining to, embracing, or practicing many arts. Polytheism, the doctrine or belief that there are more gods than one. Pummel, to beat with something thick or bulky. Pomposity, the quality of being marked by an assumed stateliness and impressiveness of manner. Pompous, marked by an assumed stateliness and impressiveness of manner. Ponder, to meditate or reflect upon. Ponderous, unusually weighty or forcible. Pontiff, the Pope. Populace, the common people. Populous, containing many inhabitants, especially in proportion to the territory. Portend, to indicate as being about to happen, especially by previous signs. Portent, anything that indicates what is to happen. Portfolio, a portable case for holding writing materials, drawings, etc. Posit, to present in an orderly manner. Position, the manner in which a thing is placed. Positive, free from doubt or hesitation. Posse, a force of men. Possess, to own. Possession, the having, holding, or detention of property in one's power or command. Possessive, pertaining to the having, holding, or detention of property in one's power or command. Possessor, one who owns, enjoys, or controls anything as property. Possible, being not beyond the reach of power, natural, moral, or supernatural. Post-date, to make the date of any writing later than the real date. Posterior, the hinder part. Postgraduate, pertaining to studies that are pursued after receiving a degree. Postscript, something added to a letter after the writer's signature. Potency, power. Potent, physically powerful. Potentate, one possessed of great power or sway. Potential, anything that may be possible. Potion, a dose of liquid medicine. Powerless, impotent. Practicable, feasible. Prate, to talk about vainly or foolishly. Prattle, to utter in simple or childish talk. Preamble, a statement introductory to and explanatory of what follows. Precarious, perilous. Precaution, a provision made in advance for some possible emergency or danger. Precede, to happen first. Precedence, priority in place, time, or rank. Precedent, an instance that may serve as a guide or basis for a rule. Precedential, of the nature of an instance that may serve as a guide or basis for a rule. Procession, the act of going forward. Precipice, a high and very steep or approximately vertical cliff. Precipitant, moving onward quickly and heedlessly. Precipitate, to force forward prematurely. Precise, exact. Precision, accuracy of limitation, definition, or adjustment. Preclude, to prevent. Precocious, having the mental faculties prematurely developed. Precursor, a forerunner or herald. Predatory, prone to pillaging. Predecessor, an incumbent of a given office previous to another. Predicament, a difficult, trying situation or plight. Predicate, to state as belonging to something. Predict, to foretell. Prediction, a prophecy. Predominance, ascendancy or preponderance. Predominant, superior in power, influence, effectiveness, number, or degree. Predominate, to be chief in importance, quantity, or degree. Preeminence, special eminence. Preempt, to secure the right of preference in the purchase of public land. Preemption, the right or act of purchasing before others. Pre-engage, to preoccupy. Pre-establish, to settle or arrange beforehand. Pre-exist, to exist at a period or in a state earlier than something else. Pre-existence, Existence antecedent to something. Preface. A brief explanation or address to the reader at the beginning of a book. Prefatory. Pertaining to a brief explanation to the reader at the beginning of a book. Prefer. To hold in higher estimation. Preferable. More desirable than others. Preference. An object of favor or choice. Preferential. Possessing, giving, or constituting preference or priority. Preferment. Preference. Prefix. To attach at the beginning. Prehensible. Capable of being grasped. Prehensile. Adapted for grasping or holding. Prehension. The act of laying hold of or grasping. Prejudice. A judgment or opinion formed without due examination of the facts. Prelacy. A system of church government. Prelate. One of a higher order of clergy having direct authority over other clergy. Prelude. An introductory or opening performance. Premature. Coming too soon. Premier. First in rank or position. Premise. A judgment as a conclusion. Premonition. Foreboding. Preoccupation. The state of having the mind, attention, or inclination preoccupied. Preoccupy. To fill the mind of a person to the exclusion of other subjects. Preordain. To foreordain. Preparation. An act or proceeding designed to bring about some event. Preparatory. Having to do with what is preliminary. Preponderant. Prevalent. Preponderate. To exceed in influence or power. Prepossession. A preconceived liking. Preposterous. Utterly ridiculous or absurd. Prerogative. Having superior rank or precedence. Presage. To foretell. Prescience. Knowledge of events before they take place. Prescient. Foreknowing. Prescript. Prescribed as a rule or model. Prescriptible. Derived from authoritative direction. Prescription. An authoritative direction. Presentient. Perceiving or feeling beforehand. Presentiment. Foreboding. Presentment. Semblance. Preservation. Conservation. Presumption. That which may be logically assumed to be true until disproved. Presumptuous. Assuming too much. Pretension. A bold or presumptuous assertion. Pretentious. Marked by pretense, conceit, or display. Preternatural. Extraordinary. Pretext. A fictitious reason or motive. Prevalence. Frequency. Prevalent. Of wide extent or frequent occurrence. Prevaricate. To use ambiguous or evasive language for the purpose of deceiving or diverting attention. Prevention. Thwarting. Prickle. To puncture slightly with fine, sharp points. Priggish. Conceited. Prim. Stiffly proper. Prima. First. Primer. An elementary reading book for children. Primeval. Belonging to the first ages. Primitive. Pertaining to the beginning or early times. Principal. Most important. Principality. The territory of a reigning prince. Principle. A general truth or proposition. Priory. A monastic house. Pristine. Primitive. Privateer. A vessel owned and officered by private persons but carrying on maritime war. Privilege. A right or immunity not enjoyed by all, or that may be enjoyed only under special conditions. Privity. Knowledge shared with another or others regarding a private matter. Privy, participating with another or others in the knowledge of a secret transaction. Probate, relating to making proof, as of a will. Probation, any proceeding designed to ascertain or test character, qualification, or the like. Probe, to search through and through. Probity, virtue or integrity tested and confirmed. Procedure, a manner or method of acting. Proceed, to renew motion or action as after rest or interruption. Proclamation, any announcement made in a public manner. Procrastinate, to put off till tomorrow or till a future time. Procrastination, delay. Proctor, an agent acting for another. Prodigal, one wasteful or extravagant, especially in the use of money or property. Prodigious, immense. Prodigy, a person or thing of very remarkable gifts or qualities. Productive, yielding in abundance. Profession, any calling or occupation involving special mental or other special disciplines. Professor, a public teacher of the highest grade in a university or college. Proffer, to offer to another for acceptance. Proficiency, an advanced state of acquirement, as in some knowledge, art, or science. Proficient, possessing ample and ready knowledge or of skill in any art, science, or industry. Profile, an outline or contour. Profiteer, one who profits. Profligacy, shameless viciousness. Profligate, abandoned to vice. Profuse, produced or displayed in overabundance. Progeny, offspring. Progression, a moving forward or proceeding in course. Prohibition, a decree or an order forbidding something. Prohibitionist, one who favors the prohibition by law of the manufacture and sale of alcoholic beverages. Prohibitory, involving or equivalent to prohibition, especially of the sale of alcoholic beverages. Projection, a prominence. Proletarian, a person of the lowest or poorest class. Prolific, producing offspring or fruit. Prolix, verbose. Prologue, a prefatory statement or explanation to a poem, discourse, or performance. Prolong, to extend in time or duration. Promenade, to walk for amusement or exercise. Prominence, the quality of being noticeable or distinguished. Prominent, conspicuous in position, character, or importance. Promiscuous, brought together without order, distinction, or design, for sex. Promissory, expressing an engagement to pay. Promontory, a high point of land extending outward from the coastline into the sea. Promoter, a furtherer, forwarder, or encourager. Promulgate, to proclaim. Propaganda, any institution or systematic scheme for propagating a doctrine or system. Propagate, to spread abroad or from person to person. Propel, to drive or urge forward. Propellant, propelling. Propeller, one who or that which propels. Prophecy, any prediction or foretelling. Prophesy, to predict or foretell, especially under divine inspiration and guidance. Propitious, kindly disposed. Proportionate, being in proportion. Propriety, accordance with recognized usage, custom, or principles. Propulsion, a driving onward or forward. Prosaic, unimaginative. Proscenium, that part of the stage between the curtain and the orchestra. Proscribe, To reject as a teaching or a practice with condemnation or denunciation. Proscription. Any act of condemnation and rejection from favor and privilege. Proselyte. One who has been won over from one religious belief to another. Prosody. The science of poetical forms. Prospector. One who makes exploration, search, or examination, especially for minerals. Prospectus. A paper or pamphlet containing information of a proposed undertaking. Prostrate. Lying prone or with the head to the ground. Protagonist. A leader in any enterprise or contest. Protection. Preservation from harm, danger, annoyance, or any other evil. Protective. Sheltering. Protector. A defender. Protégé. One specially cared for and favored by another, usually older person. Protestant. A Christian who denies the authority of the Pope and holds the right of special judgment. Protomartyr. The earliest victim in any cause. Protocol. A declaration or memorandum of agreement less solemn and formal than a treaty. Protoplasm. The substance that forms the principal portion of an animal or vegetable cell. Prototype. A work original in character, afterward imitated in form or spirit. Protract. To prolong. Protrude. To push out or thrust forth. Protrusion. The act of protruding. Protuberance. Something that swells out from a surrounding surface. Protuberant. Bulging. Protuberate. To swell or bulge beyond the surrounding surface. Proverb. A brief, pithy saying condensing in witty or striking form the wisdom of experience. Provident. Anticipating and making ready for future wants or emergencies. Providential. Affected by divine guidance. Provincial. Uncultured in thought and manner. Proviso. A clause in a contract, will, etc., by which its operation is rendered conditional. Provocation. An action or mode of conduct that excites resentment. Prowess. Strength, skill, and intrepidity in battle. Proximately. Immediately. Proxy. A person who is empowered by another to represent him or her in a given matter. Prudence. Caution. Prudential. Proceeding or marked by caution. Prudery. An undue display of modesty or delicacy. Prurient. Inclined to lascivious thoughts and desires. Pseudapostle. A pretended or false apostle. Pseudonym. A fictitious name, especially when assumed by a writer. Pseudonymity. The state or character of using a fictitious name. Psychiatry. The branch of medicine that relates to mental disease. Psychic. Pertaining to the mind or soul. Psychopathic. Morally irresponsible. Psychotherapy. The treatment of mental disease. Pudgy. Small and fat. Puerile. Childish. Pugnacious. Quarrelsome. Puissant. Possessing strength. Pulmonary. Relating to the lungs. Punctilious. Strictly observant of the rules or forms prescribed by law or custom. Punctual. Observant and exact in points of time. Pungent. Affecting the sense of smell. Pungency. The quality of affecting the sense of smell. Punitive. Pertaining to punishment. Pupillage. The state or period of being a student. Purgatory. An intermediate state where souls are made fit for paradise or heaven by expiatory suffering. Purl. To cause to whirl, as in an eddy. Purloin. To steal. Purport. Intent. Purveyor. One who supplies. Pusillanimous, without spirit or bravery. Putrescent, undergoing decomposition of animal or vegetable matter accompanied by fetid odors. Pyre, a heap of combustibles arranged for burning a dead body. Pyromania, an insane propensity to set things on fire. Pyrotechnic, pertaining to fireworks or their manufacture. Pyx, a vessel or casket usually of precious metal in which the host is preserved.